tunapita njia tukikumbuka mwanga ndani mwetu, tuonyeshe giza likija, usiogope, nuru yako
Thank you so much, Marie,
inang'aa
for
kama
joining us
mwanga.
today. For those of you who are online and don't know, my name is Josephine Odusanya. I'm the current Vice President of the African Graduate Students Association. And so you are watching for such a time as this. We are here with Dr. Marie-Ange, who is the EECS PhD superstar. She's worked at Meta, she's worked at Yahoo, she's worked at Amazon, and she is here today to share her own memoir titled For Such a Time as This, and share her personal story and journey from Cameroon to Silicon Valley. So, Marie, if you
It's
could go
really a
ahead
pleasure. I
and
love
talk more
to
about yourself
give
for the
back, love to
audience.
mentor, love to
Yeah, thank
encourage,
you so much for
inspire,
having me.
empower the next generation of leaders such as you guys. So I'm really humbled to be here and I'm happy to deep dive. I think you have some question you want us to go through and also some portion of my memoir you would like for me to read, correct?
Yes, yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is we'll just do a few introductions. We've already done that. Um, yeah, so we can dive right in, actually. But before I start, I would like to, thank everyone who made this possible. We worked with like several organizations in NYU that's making the whole of Africa Week as successful as it is currently. So that's like the Office of ODS, CMEP. We even like collaborated with other clubs like NESB and ASU, and they're just making each of these events worth it. Sorry if I didn't mention anyone, but we can go ahead and continue. So, um, here you go. So you can go ahead and start with the first reading, which comes from chapter one.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. Before I jump into the reading, I want to know, has anyone read the memoir except you? Do you know if people have read it? Is it going to be new for them or they've read, some of the people have read it?
The few I've spoken to, they say they have, and then there are those who are interested in knowing more about it from this perspective. And because
Okay.
towards the end as well, we're doing those, like there's a giveaway for the book, so someone can have
Okay.
their own physical copy of it as well.
Yeah. So since I guess many of you guys haven't read, just at a high level, it's my journey from humble roots in Africa. I grew up in Cameroon, Central Africa, coming to the US as an international student when I was 19, 18. A lot of challenge I'm sharing about growing up with a single mom in Africa who gave everything for me to be in America. The first semester, the money is gone, and I start from the bottom, working in like a fast food. The resilience, taking 26 unit, and eventually graduating as the valedictorian of my undergrad with a 4.0 GPA. The sky is still the limit. I still want to become, you know, an astronaut. I applied to Berkeley, Stanford, MIT. I got accepted to UC Berkeley. I talk about imposter syndrome because I know many of us face imposter syndrome. um Failing my prelim exam, which is the exam that makes you officially a PhD student the first year at Berkeley. Wanted to give up, but my research advisor sat me down, Professor King, and tell me, Marie-Ange, I believe in you. You can do it. She became vulnerable, shared that she too, she failed her prelim when she was at Stanford, and she wanted to give up. But she believed she had something to offer, and she really said, Marie-Ange, you can do this. So with that encouragement, I come back the second year, pass my prelim exam, and then just spend 5 years in the clean room making micro electronical mechanical systems. So sensor actuator 10 to the negative 6, a million time, a billion time than one of your hair. And that's how I get my PhD in 2006 as the firstborn African woman to get a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science at UC Berkeley, since the department was created, founded 100 years before my time. Then I share about my journey in tech. I am now a tech leader. All the products, some of the product I cannot share about all the product, but at Intel I launched the first netbook. Amazon I launched content discovery on your Fire TV that you use today. Yahoo I launched community experience, social experience on Yahoo News, Yahoo Sport, Finance, and finally Meta. I launched Compliance. Then the final part of the book is I want to give back. My passion is really, like I mentioned earlier, to inspire, empower. I talk about my passion for STEM, how I have been giving back to tech women, women in technology, being a board member of Upward, bringing more women and minority in board. There are not many that look like us. I'm talking about my passion for faith and tech integration. As a Christian, I really believe that my life should be integrated, not just faith one side and tech. How do you integrate? And then what I want to be remember. So I'm coming back to the whole idea of each one of us. We have a purpose for such a time as this, and I'm sharing a framework purpose. What does it mean to live a life of purpose? So that's kind of overarching the summary of the book. So I'm going to read now the passage that I think, Josephine, you want me to read. So it's my time in Cameroon when I'm still dreaming, and a conversation with one of my aunt. Do you want to? I can read it directly from the book, or you want me? Yeah, you have
You
it.
can read it directly from the book. The slides is just for the
Oh, yeah. So that part is entitled Two Roads: Education, Ambition, and the Expectation of Womanhood. Bebe Ange, that was the nickname my older sister gave me, and soon it became what everybody called me. My mother later told me that when my sister was just a toddler, this is my older sister. She's 1 year and a half older than me. So when my older sister was just a toddler, barely a year and a half, she couldn't quite pronounce Marie-Ange. Instead, when she saw a baby in the crib, the first sound that came out of her mouth was Bébé Ange. The name stuck. Bébé is baby in French. Even now, as an adult, my sister, my mother, and family member who watched me grow up still affectionately call me Bébé Ange. So, Bébé Ange, what do you want to be when you grow up? One of my aunts once asked me when I was in elementary school. I want to be an astronaut, I declared proudly. I want to be the first woman to go to the moon. Her response startled me. Women don't go to the moon. As a matter of fact, they get married and have a lot of babies. I was horrified. Just days earlier, I had devoured a children's book about Neil Armstrong Apollo mission under President Kennedy. The story had ignited my imagination. The idea that there was a world, a whole universe beyond what we could see fascinated me. The possibility of exploring it felt limitless. Yet, here was it, my aunt shutting down that dream. Why not? I asked her, my curiosity refusing to surrender. Because to become an astronaut, she explained, you will have to study for so many years. And by the time you finish, no man will want to marry you. You will be too educated. That conversation with my aunt left an imprint. Even as a young girl in elementary school, I sensed what she was really saying, that in our culture, a girl's future often felt like a path between two divergent roads, one paved with books and school uniform, the other with marriage and motherhood. Society, with its quiet rules and whisper expectation, stood at the crossroads, watching and waiting to see which path I would choose. Education was encouraged, but only to a certain point. A girl who excelled in school was praised, admired, even but always with a cautious undertone. Too many books will not keep you warm at night. Our auntie would say with a knowing smile, as if academic success was merely an accessory to a woman's true purpose. A girl could dream to become a teacher, a nurse, maybe even a doctor and engineer, but always with the understanding that when marriage will eventually, when it did, it will take priority. For many families, especially in Cameroonian villages, a girl's worth wasn't measured by the diploma she earned, but by how many children she will bear to her husband. For many girls, as soon as girl complete high school, well-meaning auntie and neighbors will start asking, when will you bring home a husband? The thought of a girl pursuing higher education over babies unsettled many. What good was education if it delayed the very thing a woman was made for? Yet, as I was growing up, I felt the change was in the air. More girls were making it through secondary school and college, even though the number was still small. Parents were beginning to see the value of an educated girl, not just as a wife, but as a professional, a contributor, a woman who could stand on her own. But the struggle remained. A girl who pursue too much education risked being labeled as too ambitious, as I was. A word that carry a warning rather than a praise. I was ambitious, dreamed to become an astronaut, and determined that I will not be a statistic, just like my mom, who was my role model. She was a trailblazer as a woman professional, working as a medical doctor in Cameroon at the time. So this is one conversation that really left an imprint, as I mentioned, as a young girl, where they tell you girls cannot become astronaut, right? That the womanhood is basically to get married, have a lot of children, and cook food for your mom and your children. And guess what? I have spoken to actually one young girl, I think she's in her 20s, read my book in Cameroon, and she told me that she had the same experience. This is 2020. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about when I grew up in early 80s. So even right now, she told me that her parent or her auntie told her that she should stop at her bachelor. She wanted to get a master and a PhD. That no man will want to marry her. So you see, it's still there.
It is, and it's unfortunate. I wish the world didn't, you know, eh, conspire to hold us back as much, but it's good to see people such as yourself and other women like breaking out and setting that standard so that we can like dare to dream, at least aspire for bigger things, or at least have ambition.
Mhm.
Because we are encouraged to shrink ourselves as opposed to showing who we or pursuing who we really want to be. So
Mhm.
now we're a little early, but we're gonna go into the set questions, and later on we'll give it to the audience as well to ask their questions. So you guys, as we're speaking, please, you can already start dropping questions in the chat. We don't mind. But to start, so in between tradition and ambitions, you described being told that women don't go to the moon. How did that moment shape your sense of purpose?
Beautiful question. I think it definitely revolted me. I can say that because I I did not agree. I was a kid. Like I say, I was probably 5, 6, but I was like, why is it supposed to be a man? Why only boy can be astronaut? Why not girl? So at that age, I was somebody who always asked why. Some part of my book talk about that, right? I had a critical thinking at that time. Why
Mhm.
not? I was that girl who always challenged the status quo. Why boy can't? If boy can do this, why girls cannot do this? I was that girl who wanted to achieve the best.
Mm.
I was trying to be the best in all the classes I was taking. I was always A plus plus. I mean, I would be the kid that does extra homework just to
Yeah.
get A plus plus. So that conversation with my auntie definitely didn't make me shrink. And I do believe it's the way I am. God created me as somebody who is a go-getter. A If you tell me that's what you cannot do, I will show you. I'll prove you wrong. That actually I can do this, and I put the work into that. Right? I was reading. I was a reader starting from very young, and I was doing math competition in Cameroon when it was not even that popular yet. That was my way to people were playing outside, doing all the game kids, but me friends, I interview a lot of my classmates when we were kids. They say, Marie-Ange, you were the girl who was always with your math book, was always doing the next competition, always what is the next challenge out there. My brain was always thinking. I remember reciting all the country of the world. Like I knew all the country of Africa, then the world. This was me as a kid. So yeah,
Mm.
so it shaped. I think that conversation, I can say, it really revolt me and empower me to really show that girls can become engineer, can become astronaut. And history told, after that conversation, I continued to pursue science STEM. I did a bachelor in mathematics. Baccalaureate is Cameroon, is actually in a high school degree that you got and you pick a major. I picked science. As a young girl, I was the only girl in my math class. So my purpose was I want to become an astronaut.
And you made it there. Well, you made it. You did shoot for the moon, and you did reach it. So I give you that. So in your book, for those of you who've had the chance to start reading it, and I see that we do have some more attendees, but in your book, your story of your mother was deeply moving. How did her resilience influence your own approach to obstacles and motherhood?
Yeah, my mother definitely was a trailblazer in her own way in Cameroon in the early 70s. My parents divorced when I was, I want to say, baby, very young. Divorce was taboo in our culture. I think it's still, but maybe it's becoming more common. But there were not many people. I say in my book that I don't recall anybody else in my elementary school when they were asking, what family, and I was always the only kid that say my parents are divorced. So it was really taboo. So it kind of a shame, almost like a stigma on that. So for her, it was not even easy to be a divorced woman first, and secondly, she got the full custody of the children, me and my sister. She went to medical school when she was married with my dad, had her kids while she was in medical school, right? Going through school and having two young kids, and that was in Cameroon. And she finished. So that's trailblazing, right? Being able to make it with two kids, resilience. And eventually, when the marriage didn't work out, she got the custody and was raising us as a single mom. So as I saw her, even very young, I have the memory going to emergency room in the evening, taking us with her. I share some of the scenes where people will call her patients, her nurses, and we are there, my sister and I, in the waiting room, falling asleep, listening to all the jargon, medical jargon that we had no clue, we didn't understand. I knew she was needed by the world. I knew she was doing something important, and he wanted me. I think seeing her as a professional, as a go-getter, wanted me to do something also great. So I think I had a good role model. And giving the fact that, yeah, my mom was, yeah, a single mom. She had two girls. I still recall when I was a kid where she told me, Marie-Ange, you can do anything you want, you put your mind in, if you work hard into that, the sky's the limit. So I had a role model in my mom who really believed that I can achieve that. So that was a big plus. And finally, when it came time for me to come, she knew that I was passionate about becoming an astronaut. She knew I was putting the effort. I was A plus, like I say, in my classes in high school doing math. She saved, again, let me stop there. She saved 10 plus years of her life to send me to the US as a single mom. I'm forever grateful. Every time I think about the sacrifice, I cried. It was not definitely easy. The medical doctor in Cameroon don't make the same. For some of you guys, if many of you are from Africa, they don't make the same as in the US. When I did the conversion, it's about $200, $300 per month. My tuition the first semester was $15,000, and she saved that, and the money was gone the first semester I arrived to the US. So I thank God for my mom. I thank God for a trailblazer she was. I thank God for a role model. I thank God for her believing in me in a culture where it was not conventional to have big dreams. She's part of the people that I dedicate this book to. That without my mom, I don't know if I would be where I am. So yeah, she played a big part. Her resilience, I learned resilience from her. I learned grit, determination, hard working from my mom.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. I definitely do see I see how she's impacted your life. And there's a lot of the time when, especially as students, especially as people from like Africans now that have immigrated to the US, like the barriers that we faced But being able to overcome them just because of one person, whether that's a family or a friend, that's always been beneficial in our journey. Now, I'm going to ask you, as someone who rose from modest beginnings into the tech industry, what systemic changes do you believe would truly open doors for Black women in leadership?
I love that question. I love that question because that's the journey I am right now. That's why I wrote this book actually, to inspire, to empower a women minority, as well as speak maybe to the majority, those who maybe have not faced the same challenge. I had the opportunity through this journey of writing the book, and after the book was published, to be invited in different podcasts. One of the podcasts I was invited was actually a white male podcast teaching men how to be men. It's one of my friend, Brandon Cliff. Is a coach, and I'm part of a leadership forum with him. And he invited me. He has a podcast where he invite men from different. Most of the men he told me are Caucasian, and
Mm-hmm.
it's from different walk of life. And one of the questions that came up during that podcast was, he read my book and he really was touched, and he asked me, how can we help the women, minority people in our life who didn't have the same maybe beginning or the same opportunity or different challenge? I love that question. I was so touched that he was actually very sympathetic. And what I
Mm-hmm.
told him is that what I've learned in my journey is that women, minority, people who have had it hard, we are not asking for a handout. I think if you look at my story, I work for every single thing I got. It was never
Yes.
given to me. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm not asking for um I want to have more 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 benefit because I'm a black woman. No, that's not what I'm asking. And that's where the conversation, even when you hear now the DEI conversation, that's where he has gone. But what I've learned, and what even the step that he took, was to be able to care, understand, empathize, listen. That is not the playing field hasn't been equal, because sometimes it's not well communicated or even understood by the majority race. The playing field hasn't been equal. Some people had to work harder because maybe of where they are coming from, maybe because some people it's disability, different barrier. And how do we as a society take it in account, right? In our hiring practice, in our coaching practice. So I gave him an example. If I'm a leader in a company, I'm in tech field right now, and I see there are two resume, both of them are amazing people. Amazing. I'm not asking that I want to have more opportunity or hire me compared to somebody who is great and who is white male. No, but you want to be. How do you see? Okay, maybe this African American woman has had more obstacle to get where she is. She had to fight so many barriers to be where, compared to this same equal. I would love to give that opportunity to that African American woman. That's the way I'm thinking about that. It's basically being aware that there's been some inequality, and it's not your fault, by the way. It's not your fault. I'm not even blaming anybody. But how do you work alongside? How do you coach, advocate when you're in the room? Many times, that's why I'm so passionate to have women minority in the room, in boardroom, because that's where decisions are being made. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're in the room, can you speak up for somebody who has had it in a who has it harder than you, that maybe the plate was given to you, maybe it was not as challenging? That's the way I think the conversation, at least from my perspective, the conversation should be going. That um wherever you are, whatever position you are, whatever authority, as the majority race, how can you reach out? How can you listen? Can you sympathize, understand about women, minority, other, mothers, different? I think there are different category of these, to be able to be their advocate, be their voice, because sometimes we don't have people that look like us in the room. So I love the question of Brandon, and he was touched by that. He was really like Marie-Ange, this is true. We need to do more. I haven't done more. I didn't even understand. When I read your book and your story, it makes me to look at my own life, my own. I don't think I had it that difficult. Everybody has difficulty. I'm not even saying that, the other race doesn't have difficulty,
True,
but
true.
some of the stuff that you talk about, that you had to start from the bottom and coming to America and all that, right? I didn't have to deal with that. I knew that, I work hard, I will get the job and all that. For you, you had to fight so many different battles, and being able to reach out to other people who have it more, who had maybe more difficulty, is something that I would love to do in the future. So that was the way our conversation ended. So that's my call to action at the end.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, definitely being aware of our own obstacles and being able to promote the strength we gained from overcoming them. That's something valuable, I think, to recognize. And I think the world is starting to recognize it, at least, in terms of giving people more opportunity, especially when they've been denied it. So to
And in technology, I want to give kudos to so many investor. I just came back from Senegal for a VC founder entrepreneur conference, where I met a lot of investors who are investing into Black business, who are investing to women, understanding that it's not even easy at that point to get money. Compared, the data shows that women get less funding than men. If you are the same entrepreneurship, the same, right? That minority get less funding than the majority. That women get pay less than men. So having that awareness and being able to be in the room where decisions are being made and say, no, I want to focus on that to be able to invest more in this group of people. I really want to give kudos. There are many people that I can name, but yeah, it's happening.
No, that's great. I think about my journey and how I started at NYU and how I'm doing robotics, and it's really just the people that help you as you're aspiring, that really get you to where you are. Okay. Thank you, guys. I see that. I'm glad the chat's enabled now. The chat was disabled for a while, so nobody could. So please go ahead, and if you have anything to say or comments, we're open to hearing them. But to move on, would you say there's a single moment that best captures the turning point where you knew your story was meant to inspire others?
A single point. I can think of many points. The last 10 years, 15 years. I think one of the points I actually mentioned that in my book, when I finished my PhD from Berkeley and I go home to Cameroon for just to visit family member. And I was interviewed by a newspaper, L'Anecdote. I don't know if they are still alive today. So the journalist asked me, he was talking about, he shared about my background. He shared about, oh, we are so proud to have a Cameroonian who is the first African-born woman to get a PhD in electrical engineering from UC Berkeley. We share about my journey, all the challenge I faced to build the micromechanical sensor that I built for my PhD. Then at the end, he asked me, what do I want to do next? What do I want to be remembered? And I remember I have it in my book where I told him, I have the newspaper here. That's how I could go back and remember. I said, I want to change the world. And that's the way the conversation stopped, actually, the newspaper. I want to change the world. I don't think at that moment I really knew what I meant. And so many girls after that, Cameroonian, they were also boys who sent me email when I came back to the US, who messaged me, we are so proud of you. I want to be like you. You make me proud to be a Cameroonian, an African. Can you mentor me? That moment, I finished my PhD 2006. I was like, oh my goodness, I have some people who are actually looking up to me as a mentor, as a role model, as somebody they aspire to be. So that was one moment. That was after that conversation, and I got so many emails from around Cameroon when I came back to the US. Then over the years, right, I've been in technology for the past 15 plus years, working on so many different tech products, building digital transformation experience that are changing the life of people around the globe. I've met and mentor many people, many women, of course, minority. That's usually my passion. Also the white woman. And every time, many times when I speak to people, you are so inspiring. I want to be like you. I I you make me feel like I can do anything. And it's during those conversations actually throughout the past 10 years where people have been saying, Marie, you need to write down your story. Your story is very, everybody has a unique story, but your story is very inspiring and empowering. So it's been different moments that eventually have taken me to this year, taking time off, sitting down and saying this is the Cairo moment to write my memoir, to be able to inspire more. And since I published that memoir in July on Amazon, oh my goodness, the feedback I've been getting from people around the globe. Let me just read you an email from a little girl,
What? Go ahead. Please go ahead.
9 years old in Ohio. I believe she's Caucasian. She's white because her dad, Andrew, I met her dad in one of the event I went. Is a missionary, and he told me, I gave him my book, and he told me that he's going to give it to his daughter. And she read the book from what he's telling me because he was here in California for a conference last week. So she read the book. She read the book like in a week, and he is because she finished and she was so inspired and amazed by the book that he read the book. So she's the one who first read the book before the dad read. So she writes, let me read it with a kid's writing. I mean, I don't know if you can see, this is her writing.
Oh,
It's
can we zoom in on that?
can you
If you guys can zoom in on the screen, but that's so cute.
Yeah, and
Um,
this is her she did a heart, she did the
oh.
heart. This is her, she's 9. So let me read it quickly, it's very short. She say, hi, my name is Risi. I am 9 years old. I just wanted to say that I love your book. Each page gave me joy. I never wanted to stop reading it. Someday I want to write my own life story. Your book is really inspiring. Someday I would love to meet you. From Reese, love. That made me cry. That made me cry. I was like, I don't know this little girl in Ohio, in the middle of Ohio, sending me a note, handwritten note, 9 years old, that every page of your book gave me inspiration. One day I want to be like you. Come on, come on. I mean, I didn't write it for money. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is actually changing the world. I'm making a difference into somebody. Just like Stephen Curry, I was listening to Stephen Curry, LeBron James in a podcast yesterday, how they were talking about Stephen Curry changed the game of basketball with his three-pointer. That before him, you didn't have so many NBA players trying the three-pointer and winning with 3 points. It was the Jordan time where you win with dunking and going with the 2 points. But he came to the scene and he showed that you can actually be a good three-pointer shooter and win a game by doing 3 points. And now so many other players, young boy, are trying from the middle of the basketball play what he did. So he changed the game of basketball. And it's the same thing when I see a kid saying that I want to write my story. You inspire me that life can be challenging, but I can achieve anything. Makes me feel like my life is worth living, that I'm actually making a difference.
No, of course, your life is definitely worth living. You're an inspiration to all of us. Like, when I first heard of your story and your profile, and it gave me a lot of courage because it is hard. You think you've made it, then you get there, and it's there's still many roads you need to travel. There's still a lot of work to be done. But knowing that there are people who even look like you, have the same aspirations as you, have similar backgrounds as you, that have gotten to where they need to be, who are as ambitious, it's inspiring and it's encouraging. So you guys in the chat, I do see your questions, but we'll get to them during the audience question section. So if you could just give us a couple of minutes, I'll begin that like after, in the next like 5, 6 minutes. I do still have a couple of questions for you on my end.
Mm.
So, okay, you write about no map, no guide, just grit. How did this mindset shape your leap from STEM to product management in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, that chapter of the book where I talk about no map, no guide, just grit is when I started my career as at Intel, and
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the team that designed the first netbook. I don't know, I did myself that. If some of you guys were born, it's the device. It was a small computing device before Apple launched the first iPad,
Yeah.
like very small
Wow.
computer. I launched that with a couple of PM product manager. So when I finished my PhD at Berkeley, yeah, the route usually for after a PhD, and many of my colleagues who did research, either you become a professor, like academician, you go to become a faculty member, or you do
Mm-hmm.
research. You can do research either in a university or do research in a corporate setting. So that's usually the normal part. And my goal actually, when I told you I wanted to become an astronaut, I wanted to become a scientist. So my goal was I want to do research, continue in the research field that I did at Berkeley. When I joined Intel, I was part of the research group for a while, I want to say for maybe 6 months. And one of my manager, F. Thomas, I acknowledge him in the book. He saw that. So I did a rotation. I did different rotation. I was hired as a rotation engineer. So I did research for maybe 6 months, and then the remaining of the time I could do rotation in different business group, different organization, and I decided to explore, go beyond my comfort zone, which was research, science research. I did strategic planning, thinking about where Intel should invest, what are technology out there we should invest. I did ICAP. Intel Capital was the largest VC in the world. What are the startup doing research on startup? What are the technology we should invest? And I did one in product management. That's where we're thinking about netbook. What will be the next big device? How do we expand computing? That in mature
Mm-hmm.
market, the problem statement was in the US, Canada, mature market, Europe, where people can have the purchasing power. Notebook is saturated. Everybody has a PC. How do we get to emerging market like Africa, Asia, Latin America? And the idea came, let's use a computing small device, cheap device. Market got us wrong, but it drove, because netbook was actually sold more in mature market than it went to emerging market, but in mature market people bought it as a secondary device with their PC. So I was part of that rotation that started the netbook. And when I was finishing then that rotation, because at the end of the rotation, you are supposed to find where you're going to find a place and land a job in the company. I really wanted, I was like, I was torn out. I loved the netbook part. I was like, oh, I did research. I have a PhD. Let me go back to my bread and butter, which is becoming a research scientist. And one of my manager, F, told me, look at me in my eyes, and you need to have good mentor, good advisor, good. That's what I do. What I do now, speaking to young people, because you need to have people who know you and who can speak life to you. F told me that, Marie-Ange, you are good in science technology, but you are somebody who care about the big picture. You care about not just the technology. How do we build it? But who are the customer? What do they care about?
Mm-hmm.
How do we validate that this is the right product? Like more than just the technical aspect, but the business aspect. How do we take this to market? How many people are going to use it? How do we measure success? What are other competition? What are the other product out there doing? Why are we thinking? What do we think we need to be successful as Intel as a company? So that's more than just the technical building the part, and that's actually product management. I didn't know how to call it at the time, because that's what I was doing when I was working with Netbook, and that
Mm-hmm.
was my leap of faith when he told me that don't limit yourself. Oh, I'm a research scientist. I did this PhD. I need to just work in the lab, continue to build. You can actually look at the big picture, drive strategy, drive team to execute. And you're a people person. You really realize that, because sometimes engineers are very geek and they stay in their little corner building the stuff and doing equation. I'm not like that. Like, I love to speak to people. I love to interact. I'm more like a people person. And that's what product is about, because you have to bring different stakeholders who have different agenda, different expertise, engineering, marketing, sales, compliance, legal, operation, everybody on the same table to align on the strategy, to align on the execution as you drive your product, right? So that was my leap to product management. It was basically by accident, I can say. So I never planned it that way. It was like I was in a rotation with Netbook, and some of these superpower, skill set, talents came into life. And my boss told me that I don't think you should just limit yourself to just say, I need to be a research scientist. You can explore this. And I just took the leap of faith and I love it. So I've been building. I started with the netbook. That was my first product I built. Then at McAfee, I built biometric authentication before it became pervasive. Now, when you have your smartphone, you look at your face, you can access your smartphone. In the past, building the technology and demonstrating that actually it has business value. Who are the customer? How do we improve it? How do we execute? Was still very much infant. So I built early biometric, your voice recognition, facial recognition. At Amazon, I built the content discovery based on personalization, knowing what we know about the user on your
Okay.
screensaver. At Roku, I built advertisement video on demand in UK, Canada. So my leap of faith was that journey at Intel, and then continue from one company, one big tech to the other consumer tech, building great consumer product that have actually impacted the life of billions of users around the globe. So that was my leap of faith.
No, that's amazing. That's an amazing journey. Wow. I didn't know I didn't read that part when you were behind Netbook. That was
Yeah,
I was like, so
after
you've been pioneering. You're like
yeah,
everything about tech today that it started from those first few years and you were in the thick of it. That's
chapter
incredible.
11 talk about my experience in netbook. We were like 3 4, it was like a startup in the big Intel is a giant company, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
really like four of us. We had 3 p.m., few engineers trying to prove that netbook is actually a viable product, because there
Yeah.
was a lot of concern. The concern at the time, to give you some background, is that by launching this small device category, are we going to cannibalize? If you don't know what is cannibalization, it means that people who can afford the expensive, Intel make a lot of money with a $2,000 PC. So now
Mm,
if I have money to buy the 2000 PC where the company make most of the revenue, will I decide to buy the cheap computer because it was really like $300 or $200? We were trying to go to $100. It never really got to $100, but it was
mm,
like 200. Am I going to
yeah.
sacrifice the $2,000 to pay for the cheap computer? And that's a big decision for the company, because it impact the revenue. That now we're going to lose customer. That's what they call cannibalization in product management. That somebody who can afford premium product start buying the cheap one, and you're losing revenue from that. So what we did, working with the other PM, how do we make a good differentiation that netbook is actually not a replacement, but it's an additional, we call it a companion to your PC, that you have a PC and you use it as a companion. And we made it clear in the value proposition that you will not be able to do multitasking. You're not going to be able to do gaming, application that require high CPU, high processing power, that you need the i7, i8 core, the high CPU of Intel. You cannot do with the Intel with the netbook. So we create a new CPU called Intel Atom processor. I don't know if you guys remember, it was Intel Atom. So it was a cheap, low version of the processor that can do just content consumption, not content creation. So that's kind of background of how netbook became actually a new source of revenue for Intel, not a replacement, not like taking customer who could afford the expensive and they start buying the cheap computer.
Wow, no, that's incredible hearing about that and how it came up and even the challenges you faced. Right now, although I do have a couple of questions on my end, I'll just try and weave it in with the audience questions because we're now in that section. We okay, we have one from Roffins. Roffins, are you still in the audience? Are you still here? Okay, great. You're still here. I don't know if you can see the chat on your end.
Yes.
But she's like, "Hi, my name is Robbins, and I'm a current PhD student here at NYU. Your journey is really inspiring on how you forged your own path, even when it went against cultural expectations. My question is, did imposter syndrome ever evolve for you, not
Mm.
disappear? And what sorts but sort of take a different shape. Was there a specific moment in your journey where you felt you now belonged? If so, what changed? Or if not, how can students manage imposter syndrome in their academic journey and even as they transition into leadership?
Beautiful question. I get a
A nice
question of
question.
imposter syndrome all the time, all the time. Yes, I had imposter syndrome. Yes, I still have imposter syndrome. It doesn't go away. Please let me be straight. I've talked to CEO, I've talked to even the white, the majority Caucasian, imposter syndrome is real. It's real. It's basically mean that you feel like you don't belong in a room because you see so many smart people around you. So it's real for everybody. It's real. So I think for me, he has evolved, to your point. He has evolved where I know how to manage it better. So when I was in my early year, like I mentioned, when I started at Berkeley, arriving as the only Black woman, I was the only Black in my program, the only woman. I was like, oh my goodness, these people are and Berkeley, you have the best of the best of the best in the world. In ECS, it's one of the three top, right? It's Berkeley, Stanford, and MIT. You are competing with the best. Many of them have started company. I say they were the Zuckerberg and the Elon Musk when we started our PhD. Many of them have coded when they were kids. I never code. I didn't even have a computer in Cameroon. I saw the computer the first time when I came to the US. So all that you start doubting yourself, how am I going to compete with these bright people? They are so much smarter. And yes, they were smart. So that's how I was. My book I talk about at Berkeley, I was just working so hard. I didn't have a life. I was studying. I say if I cannot be outsmart them, I'm going to be outwork them. I was always in the lab. I was always, I figure out groups when, especially my Chinese born Chinese friend, when sometimes when they do their study, they have their group, they will speak Chinese. I will come in for, I say, can you speak English? Because I don't understand this problem. Let's work together. So you have to like go get out of your comfort zone, get to be able to, I was just doing the drill work to work hard, to be able to understand the material, to wherever I needed to catch up. I took a lot of undergrad classes that I didn't have the background to be able to make it through that season. Getting a PhD, you think is going to be over, like the first woman born in the continent of Africa to get a PhD, you think it's going to be over. No, it was not over. Coming to corporate America, it was there. But I think the difference, the more now that you have achieved, you see, you're a PhD student, I don't know what is your field, but the more you have achieved impossible stuff in life, what has helped me now, I remember those moments where I was at Berkeley in the room and I thought I would never finish this PhD, that this is just impossible. I remember the grit and the determination. I remember, Marie-Ange, you did that. It was freaking hard. You did that. You can do this one. So now the more I've gotten in my leadership, my tech leadership in corporate America, when I'm in a room where I feel like I don't belong or these people are freaking smart, sorry for the expression, I don't even know where to start. I remember what I've done. Marie-Ange, come on. You deserve to be there. You are also smart. I talk to myself, actually, I don't wait for anybody to tell me that. I look myself in the mirror. I tell that to many young people. You got here at NYU, your PhD. How did you get to be accepted for the PhD and get to the level where you are? You are pretty good. You are actually good. You deserve to be in the room. Nobody gave you, like I say, it's not a handout. It was not a handout. You had to work hard to be able to sit at the table. So I remind myself that to give me the energy and the strength and the power that I am in the room. Another trick I learned, actually, this, you keep on learning when you talk to many people. I was in a conference this past Saturday. Stacy Brown Philpott, she's one of the African-American woman CEO. She was the CEO of TaskRabbit, investor. She started an investment fund for minority business. Great lady. She's been a mentor of mine. They asked her the same question about imposter syndrome. She mentioned something that I never thought before, that is actually true, that something actually for minority, either woman, Black, or whatever type of minority you stand out already by just being different.
Yeah.
You cannot hide, right? The fact that when you show up, either by the fact that you can be the only woman in the world, the only Black, or me with my accent, African, there's so many different. So I stand out. So she said she used it for her superpower. She said every time she's in a room, she actually make a point to speak and that somebody will listen because she's different. She doesn't take it as a barrier. For her, it's more like it's more psychology. It's more like, I already stand up. I might as well speak. I might as well say what I think. I might as well make sure that I'm very memorable. Say something that makes sense, right? So the fact that you're already different, okay, put you one, and now you speak up. That they, oh, that black woman, she says something really smart. So when they're in the room, whatever, if it's an interview to debate or whatever, or if there's a decision that needs to be made, which project needs to be canceled, oh, that lady, I mean, first you are different, like, and now you speak up. So I really appreciate that. Take it as more like a superpower, that the fact that you're already different and now you speak up. So there are different ways to approach that. But I would tell you, my friend, it didn't go away. I'm just learning more and more to manage it and to say, I deserve to be in the room. I speak up. I will make mistake. If I make mistake, I own it and I apologize like other people do. But I don't blame myself. It's because I'm black, because I don't know what I'm talking about. No. I say, no, no, no. I know what I'm talking about. I don't know everything in this particular, this is my expertise, and I can bring my expertise right here. Does that make sense? You want to take the next question?
Yes, yes, it does. You can, yeah, we can go ahead to the next question in the chat. We are currently in a climate of severe censorship. As you continue to expand your network in your industry, how do you balance integrity, truth, and advocacy in an authentic way that honors the sacrifices and obstacles you've overcome? That's from Katie Madison. Oh, she's a musical theater composer. That's awesome. Wait. That's great. That's great what she's doing.
Can you rephrase the question for me? I'm trying to see which angle if she's there, I would love to hear from her. It's a very
Um,
good question. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't take a different direction.
Katie, I don't know if you can still elaborate on your question in the chat. Unfortunately, the attendees can't
Uh,
speak,
how do
but
you balance integrity, truth, and advocacy in an authentic way?
hmm,
Integrity, truth, and advocacy. Is she more talking about from product, some of the product? I built some product that talk about, okay, how do you know, how do you
censor yourself in spaces. I think I might
know?
see the angle she's coming from, because in one of the questions I had for you actually is how do
Mhm.
you essentially stay yourself in this industry.
Oh,
You've talked about, I think, and she can correct me if, yep, I got it. She
mhm,
talks about, because you talk about, for example, faith a lot. And
mhm.
I know I'm gonna go back to my questions. Like you openly speak about your faith. So it's the, how do you stay true to you and what you believe in, and you're still able, especially when people are not, they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear about faith. They don't want to hear about even your struggles, or anything that makes you, the
I
journey that you took. And how do you now navigate that in such a world where censorship is the word that is that's the go-to. When we're living in a world now that one does everything it can to silence you. I think that's a question I have as well. So I'm
I
glad
see.
that someone
Got it,
came
got
with it.
it. I've never faced censorship in that way, the way that something that I say, because somebody doesn't like it or disagree, will cut me off, or will how do you call it on social media, where you
You're canceled.
you cancel. I haven't had that. I've heard that. But what I've seen, yeah, it's a great question, by the way. I'm just thinking the best way to the way I've dealt with that, and I continue to deal with that. Yeah, the faith conversation. Let me take the faith conversation. It's not politically correct, right? That you can say, I'm not going to share my faith at work. I live my faith. At work, I live my faith. I think that was one of the questions that you asked. I mean, as a Christian, what am I called to is to love my neighbor. That's number one from Jesus. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind if you're a Christian. And then love your neighbor as yourself. So I try my best. I'm not perfect, I would say so, but I try my best. How do I love this neighbor, this colleague that can be nasty? God call us to do that. That can be backstab. Corporate America has its own. It's not heaven. It's not kumbaya. No, it's politically crazy. Sometimes it's Hunger Games. Sometimes it's I want more promotion than the other person. I want more money. I want recognition. People take you do a project. People acknowledge. They don't even acknowledge you on all that. I have tried so hard. How do I keep my integrity, acknowledging all the people who have participated in the project as a leader, even if I'm part of a team, putting the other people even above me, because I know my reward, my promotion doesn't come from. That's where my faith comes. You ask the question. My reward comes from God. I definitely believe that. I definitely believe that my reward and my ultimate call is to serve God. It's not to, yes, I want to improve the stock of the company. I want to serve shareholder, but I say in my book, 3 KPI, key performance indicator I have. Have I been faithful? Have I been obedient? Have I been loving? Am I faithful to the calling of God in my life in this company, to love people, to do it with integrity, to help even people who are not kind, help, not take things personally. I try my best. If I can go out of my way to help out a colleague, to help out even a team that doesn't want to work with us. I've traveled around the world to work with some people who were not willing to work together. Say, how can we sit together, find a compromise? And yeah, I don't have to call the name of God. I don't have to say I'm a Christian to do that. I can just leave it out and let God do whatever he wants to do, right? So that is just, I think sometimes I believe we can speak louder, be more authentic by our action than by even saying something. Now, if as you develop relationship, like I've developed great relationship with colleague or friends or people, you have more agency now when they ask you the question, Marie-Ange, why are you so calm, or why are you so loving, why you don't take things personally, why you don't, oh, I'm not always like that, by the way. I'm not going to claim that I'm always, and if I do the wrong thing, I come back and say, I'm so sorry, I apologize, I cut you off, please forgive me. That's part of being a Christian. But when opportunity open up to be able to, why are you doing what you do, I will say it's because of my faith. That give me the agency, to not share. What has happened now when I've grown up in my career and even writing this book, there's been so many opportunities now where people are asking me the question, tell me about your faith. In many podcasts, because I've written that in my memoir, that's my memoir. I've written, it's my life. I cannot hide it. It's part of who I am, right? It's part of why I'm doing what I do. So I feel like this has given me even more agency to be able to share publicly. It's not like I was hiding. I mean, if you know me, I've been part of Meta Christian Network, Amazon Christian Network. I was, involved, but it's not something that I will publicly put it out there. People who know me personally would know that I'm a person of faith. But now, more and more, I'm getting to public space and people are asking me questions. So I have more agency to share. So what I want to say to that question is, I'm not living two different lives. I live a life of integrity, meaning that, if this is the right thing to do, loving people, that's my KPI, really. How do I love? How do I serve? I don't try to play the game of the company and how do I get more power, right? This is not who I am. I cannot compromise that. And if at a certain point there've been organization or company where my value don't align with the value, I've seen how either I will leave or God close the door. That's the way, things, if sometimes it doesn't work out, that your values are not really aligned. Like if you have been censored, I don't know, if you have been, and it's really not a appropriate place to continue to grow or continue to be who I am, you don't have to stay. You don't have to stay. You can leave, or for me, sometimes I left. Sometimes God has just opened new opportunity for me. Maria, this is not working. You can deal with this. This is a new opportunity. Does that make sense? So I stay authentic to who I am as a Christian by loving people, by being, that's my KPI. When I build product, is it with integrity, making sure I address the customer needs, making sure I address, whatever the company needs, bring people together, right? When opportunity come, and there will be opportunity. If somebody asks me about my faith, I will share. I don't have to tell you that on day one. And continue to try to live my values, right? If the company or the organization, the value are not aligned, like you talk about censorship, you don't have to stay, right? You say, okay, this is not, I cannot change this organization. I cannot change. If you have power to change, if you're the leader, okay, you can change, but sometimes you don't have the power. You have the the opportunity to vote with your feet, I can get out of here.
Mm.
That's the way I can address that. Does that help?
Yeah, I think it does help. I think Katie's happy with the answer as well. Thank you for asking that. That was very much needed. Um, oh wow. So we're coming to the end of we're actually past the time of our audience section, to be honest. And there are 3 questions. So what do we do?
What are the questions? Summarize them quickly. I would love
Okay.
to read the question if I can just quickly touch, not spend too much time.
Yeah, I see one in the Q&A section. If your mom wasn't there as an inspiration, do you think you would have fallen into the same fate as the norm for most Cameroonian girls? And that's for Mimi B. I don't know if Mimi B is still here. She
As
is.
the
Great.
same fate, like oh, I say, yeah, trailblazer. Good question. I think my mom definitely played a big role for me to be where I am. Will I be I was ambitious without my mom. I think it's something DNA already. I think ambitious, asking question, great question. But she was definitely an instrument to encourage that, to say it's okay and the sky is the limit. If she was not there, maybe it could have been harder, right? Because you don't have that role model. She saved the money. I'm in the US because that woman saved 10, 15% of 15 years of her life for me to be in America. So it would have been harder. I don't think I want to say, I mean, I still believe God has a plan for each one of us, that it could have still happened. It could have brought somebody else, or it could have been harder than me. But having a great role model helped me. I can definitely say that. Having a mom, because if my mom was like my aunt, who said you can't become an astronaut, and she said, I'm not going to pay your study, it could have been really harder, right? So yeah. So she was definitely a big part of who I am, having a great role model. So get great, the message here, get great role model. If it's not your parent, if it's not your, I don't know, we wish it's our parent or family member, get a mentor, get a coach, get somebody who believe in you, and you'll find people like that in your life. That's the message I want to communicate. The
Nice.
next one.
Nice. Okay. Rafin's asked again, like many of us, especially first generation scholars, struggle with expectations around marriage, family, and career. How did you stay grounded when your dreams didn't match the cultural timeline?
Oh my
Read the
goodness.
book. Read the book.
Yeah, read the book.
Read the book.
There's no perfect answer. For me, it was, I really want to get married. I know one day I want to get married, but I'm also ambitious. I don't think this still should, I disagree with that cultural expectation that it has to be either or. As a young kid, I was like, I want to be married. I don't know how to make it happen, but I'm ambitious. I want to go to the moon. So I would do whatever it takes to go to the moon. And eventually God brought my husband. But it was, if you read the book, I mean, actually there was another engagement. I had a broken engagement, which was more the traditional person that I bless my ex. I bless him. I bless him. I think God used him in my life. But I put that chapter in the book for that reason. Because if you read some of the conversation, his expectation based on the way he grew up, that the woman should stay at home, the woman should be like not working, the man should provide, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. So find the right partner who can support. I think marriage is partnership. Now I see my husband, God bless my husband, because he has been able to be like, what I do today is because of Mark. I cannot be where I am if my husband was not who he is. He's not intimidated. He doesn't believe that you cannot be, you let me go speak and all that, and he take care of the kids. It's God. I thank God for him in my life. So find the right partner that can support you. If you are, I don't know if I'm talking to a girl, and if you have a dream, you want to become whatever, pursue your dream and find the right partner. Make sure marriage is very important, that you don't get unequally yoked with somebody who doesn't have the same belief and the same stand with you. That this is, because you're going to be miserable and you're going to divorce. You're going to be miserable. So just find somebody who is aligned into your passion, and you help each other. That's what, for me, marriage is a partnership. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to take the last question before we go into the second book reading, and then final reflections.
Okay.
What was your experience working in all these companies like Intel, Meta, Yahoo, etc.? How can we also stand out to have those same roles?
Great question. I think it's also part of the framework that I share in my book, the purpose framework. And in the purpose framework, what I wanted to get out of with that is that each one of us You have talent, Josephine. All the people on the call, you have talent, gifting, and you have been called for such a time as this to make a difference. So I developed a purpose framework in my book. P stands for preparation. And the question I'm asking, what are you doing to get prepared? For me, for instance, I took science class, math class from young. I put the work into that. I just didn't stay sleeping and say it's going to come, right? I put the work to be excellent. Number two is you in the purpose. Again, I'm going to purpose. You stand for unwavering faith. What do I mean by unwavering faith? Having that belief that your life matters, that you are on earth for a purpose, you are here to make a difference. Having that as as a student now, when you get to your career, that your life actually matters. You're not just there to waste time and waste energy and breathe air. So that faith, and for me, it's also faith in God, my faith in Christ, that he has a plan, and he called me for something great. I have that. Number three is R. Again, I'm going to purpose, resilience. What I say in resilience is that bad thing will happen, crazy will happen, that nobody, if you ever succeed in life, you're going to fail. But resilience will keep you standing and continue to fight. So having resilience is key to living a life of purpose. And my life story is all about resilience because I'm sharing a lot of challenge. You're going to have challenge. The other P is purposeful action. Purposeful action is what action are you taking to achieve your goal? If your goal, like for me, was to become a scientist, a research scientist, what are the action, the baby steps I'm taking? Maybe for you is to become, I don't know, you want to get into finance. What are those actions you are taking? So every action that you take should tie to your goal. The O is others focused leadership. Again, purpose. O, I do believe that as you continue to climb in the ladder, learn, live your life for purpose, you are called to reach out and help other people. True leadership is to open door to other people. That's why I do what I do today, to be able to help you guys, help younger people, share my story with your skills and your talents, what you have achieved. You can share, and it's such a blessing to see other people, right? I don't think the pie is big enough that you can give this portion for everybody. As you give of yourself and whatever skills and talent, other people flourish, the society is better. S is for steadfast courage. Take courageous step. Take step that are bold, risk-taking. You were asking me about moving from pure research to product management. It was a risk-taking step because I spent 5 years at Berkeley building MEMS. And I was like, okay, you are moving on to product being strategy. What if you don't like it? Did I waste my time? So what are those bold steps that you are taking? And eventually, as you take more bold steps, risk taking, you cannot achieve anything great in life if you don't take risk. Every entrepreneur will tell you that. Every investor will take you that. You're going to have to take those bold steps. And finally, E is for excellence. Strive to achieve excellence. It's not perfection. I'm not talking about perfect. We all have place where we can improve. But as you are a student, as you get into your car, excellent, people will remember that. That will be your currency, that this man is excellent. So I have a purpose framework in my memoir that I really, really encourage you to live by. And I think these are some of the stuff that can help you to live that life, to continue to achieve your dream.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And now I know the time I indicated for you is slowly running out. All right, so
Yeah, I
already
can
run
read
out.
the last part. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we can go into the reading. Let me share my screen. Here we go.
So you say it was chapter 12, reaching
Chapter
out
12.
to the next generation, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go through this. So the title, reaching out to the next generation, staying relevant in a changing world. This is part of the whole others focused leadership. What are some of the stuff I've been doing to reach out to the next generation? As I progressed in my career and built a reputation as a technology leader in Silicon Valley, I had the privilege of sharing my journey with students across the US, just like you guys, and around the world. Speaking with this bright, ambitious mind, has been a constant reminder of the incredible potential that emerged when we invest in the next generation. In early March 2025, I had the honor of speaking to a group of young African engineers from various parts of Africa via Zoom from the comfort of my bedroom in California. Same thing like today. It was a Zoom call and they were calling from Africa. This is an example of how technology can be used to mentor the next generation of change maker virtually. I share my story growing up in Cameroon, overcoming numerous challenges and carving my path to leadership in the tech industry. I encourage them to embrace uncertainty and change, to stay curious, and to continuously learn the new skills that will help them stand out in today's world, today tech's world. One of the most important skills I highlighted was the need to welcome, learn, and leverage artificial intelligence to enhance their efficiency in their field, which will lead to greater impact. My goal for this mentorship session was simple: to inspire these young, brilliant minds to realize that their dreams weren't just possible, but within their reach. The discussion crackled with energy. Then a hand shot up. Manfu, a sharp-eyed electrical engineer, leaned forward, his voice steady but charged with curiosity. With AI evolving so fast, he asked, how do I ensure my skills remain relevant in 10 years? Won't automation eventually replace what I do? I think many of the young people today have, even people in corporate right now have that question. The room grew still. It was the kind of question many had likely pondered, but had never voiced it. I met his gaze and smiled. That's a good question to ask, Manfu, I say. But let's shift our perspective. AI isn't a competitor, it's a tool, a powerful tool. He nodded, listening intensely. The real opportunity isn't in resisting AI, it is in mastering it. Understand its strength and, more importantly, its limit. AI can optimize, predict, and even create, but it lacks the ingenuity, cultural context, and problem solving skills that you, as a Cameroonian engineer, bring to the table. A flick of realization crossed his face, others leaning, drawn to the weight of the conversation. Instead of fearing I continue. Embrace it, learn how it works, then use it to tackle local problem in Africa that AI hasn't even begun to address. The energy inefficiency, infrastructure gap, everyday struggle of Cameroonian citizen in a global AI that the global AI model overlook. That is where your true value lies. Future proving yourself is not isn't just about adapting to technology, it's about shaping the technology. Let me repeat that. Future proving yourself, your career, your your value proposition isn't about adapting to technology, it's shaping the technology. Manfu exhale, a slow smile forming. So instead of worrying about being replaced, I should focus on what AI cannot do and make it my superpower, my space. Exactly, I said. Innovation isn't about avoiding the change, it's about driving the change. The room, once hushed, now burst with renewed energy. The conversation had shifted, not just for Manfu, but for everyone. Just as my mentor left an incredible impact on me, I strive to do the same. Because at the end, our greatest legacy is it what we leave behind, is who we lift up as we climb in the ladder.
Amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you so much. Um,
Well,
I have chills. I don't know if anybody else has chills. It is, oh wow. I'm speechless actually. Thank you so much for those words. Thank you for sharing about your journey, and your book is incredibly inspiring. Every aspect of it, and shows a very human experience that we kind of see lacking sometimes when we do speak to people who have persevered and have attained their goals. Especially someone like you who's done so much. I learned from your book that you're the first African woman to earn a PhD in EECS. And it's things like that, or hearing things like that, or the barriers that you've overcome for us, that just make just well it, it's it it's just inspiring. It's heartwarming. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's heartwarming, and it's encouraging. So now we can go forth knowing our angels are there. They've paved the way for us, and you're essentially you're a way maker. You're a way maker yourself, and we can only show appreciation to that. So thank you. This is where we'll end off. The last couple of minutes, I will spend. I don't know if you wanna see the giveaway, who ends up winning the book. It'll be delivered to you personally, um, and I'll just use the current participants to make it fair. Let's go here. Let's do this. I'll share my screen so everyone will see that I'm adding the names manually and live, so that I will not, everyone will know that they were considered fairly. I know Jaffa is here, Katie Madison. So once we get a winner, please do reach out to me. I'm sure you should know how to. I've been the one sending the emails about the webinars and all the events for Africa Week this week. So please reach out to me with your contact information and address. And then I think this is all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay. And then you'll be able to get a physical copy of this book. So let's go. Okay, wait, no, reference, congrats. Reference, please reach out to me for a copy of this book. And once you read it, please share your insights with the African Graduate Student Association on what you learned. So that's definitely what I'll be doing as well. Reading the book was incredibly inspiring. And I keep saying this, I've said this to my team as well, that I love that you essentially humanize the entire process. I do feel like sometimes when people are talking about their journeys, they do this aspire to perspire thing, but you've been very vocal and honest and raw, and it makes it easier to know for real what exactly we face and how to realistically overcome it. So I would like to say thank you for that. Just a kind reminder to everyone else that this week still is Africa Week. Please don't forget to come and join us tomorrow. Let me share my screen again for the events. And Marie, if by some chance you happen to find yourself in New York this weekend, please feel free to join us as well. So this week is Africa Week. Why isn't my screen? There we go. Tomorrow is the African Food Fest. So we're gonna have food from different regions, North, East, South, and West. And there'll be another segment there called the Jollof Wars to determine which country has the best jollof rice. As a Nigerian, I know the right answer. I know the right answer. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think there needs to be a competition personally. But we're still gonna have one just to set the stage, and I would really love to see you guys there. But thank you to everyone who joined. Please share all the insights that you learned from this session with your friends, share it on social media. Take a picture. This is Africa Week. Let's celebrate. Even though we're in school and we have exams, just don't worry about it. So take the time and really push out this message, because we need to show the world that we're here and we're here to stay despite all the challenges. We are not going to let imposter syndrome push us out, and we're not going to keep that from achieving our goals and reaching our destiny. So I'd like to thank you, Marie, once again. And I wish you all a good day. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye
Bye.
bye.